The U.S. Open is a tournament like few others that most golfers live their lives dreaming of winning. But after a long life in golf competing on different tours, what does the U.S. Senior Open mean to Champions Tour players? Golf Life visited the 2008 U.S. Senior Open at the famous Broadmoor in Colorado Springs to take an inside look at the preparation and the motivation of professionals trying to win this major tournament.
Well, a Senior Open, we were here probably 4 years ago to begin looking at the golf course and determining what changes we wanted to make to the golf course. And so once you decide what changes you want to make, then the grounds crew really gets in there and they start making those changes. And the closer you get to the championship, the more focus and the more intense the effort becomes. But Torrey Pines was set up for the U.S. Open, and when we set up a course for a Senior Open, it cannot be quite as hard. For the first point, it's not going to be as long, even though here we're at roughly 7250, which is the longest Senior Open course we've ever had. It is at altitude, and so it'll play about 10% less than that 7250. So really, this course will play about 6,600 yards. At Torrey Pines, we could have played it as much as 7,600 yards. We never played it all the way back in any one day. So the first thing is the length. Secondly, we would not ever have the greens as fast at a Senior Open as we do at a U.S. Open. And then thirdly would be the rough heights. We would have more severe rough at the U.S. Open than a Senior Open.
Well, I think, I think there's maybe a little bit of a misconception. Players are real competitive out here. A lot of people think we're just out here for fun and games, and we do. I think we have a lot more fun than the regular tour does. They're a little bit more geared to the money aspect, and they're more focused, I say, on day-to-day play and everything. We kind of trying to chill out a little bit, after playing, before play, and even during play some, But when Thursday comes here, everybody's going to be pretty serious, and the competition is still pretty keen out here.
When you play the regular tour, at least for a guy like me, I was kind of year to year. I was always wondering if I was going to keep my job the next year, kind of a deal. And I had a nice career over a long period of time. I was able to do it, but I was never just really confident that was going to be the case. Out here it's a little different because you've had some success. It's a little more set out here in terms of the career money list and that kind of a thing for a lot of guys. So you kind of know your stability is a little bit better out here, and that sort of relaxes you a little bit more. You've also kind of maybe proven what you're going to prove in the game of golf as to how good you're going to be, and so now it's just kind of playing and enjoying things a little bit more and not quite the grind that the regular tour is.
I think maybe because there's a lot more money on the junior tour. These guys are working a lot harder. They're doing a lot more exercise, physical. But you see a lot of the seniors now. They're also getting in that trailer at night, and talking to their gurus and so forth. Me, I'd rather go have a drink, and have a good time.
You still have players here on this tour that are just as strong as the guys on the young men's tour. Tom Watson's 58 years old. He'll be 59 September 4th. And he still plays with the same specs that he played when he was on the regular tour. So, for many of the top guys, the specs stay pretty much the same. For some others, then it does change slightly. But overall, it's if you see something that's different, they're probably smarter in the way they make their bag up. And what I mean by that is they put a lot more hybrids in the bag. For example, on the PGA Tour nationwide, you'll see more one iron still. Might be some guys, but they'll see 2 irons and 3 irons. On this tour, you don't see that anymore.
Well, normally at altitude, high ball hitters will always be at somewhat of an advantage from a distance standpoint. People that hit it medium to a flat trajectory might not spin it as much or won't have the launch angle. Then at altitude, they might be forced to change some of their equipment.
As equipment has changed, technology has moved forward. I've tried to move forward with that also. So I think everybody has done that to some degree.
It's very hard to keep to the same equipment. Things are changing, balls are changing, not just by the year. It seems to be by the month that something new is coming out, and you really feel that if you don't keep up with the other guys, that you could be losing out. If you feel like if you drive a car, would you rather drive a car at 10 years ago or drive a car now at 10 years advanced? The technology moves on, and you have to go with it as well, otherwise you get left behind.
This is set up like, we've seen a lot of the U.S. Opens in the past and PGA Seniors, and and some of our bigger events, there's more rough than we normally see on the senior tour, but that's the way it should be. I mean, this should be the hardest test we have is the Senior Open, and it is. Now, some of the guys might put in a more lofted, utility club or fairway wood, but I don't. It's all the same. I mean, this is too late in the game to start changing things like that.
Tell you the truth, I don't know that much about the game, so I play with what I've got.
Up here, it might be good to have, more hybrids. We were just talking about that as I was hitting some balls. Long irons are pretty hard for me to keep in the air up here very well. So I kind of maybe wish I had that, but I didn't bring anything extra, so I'll just have to go with what I got.
Yeah, a guy like Tom Watson, again, I'll bring him up. He has 2 hybrids in the bag. He's got a 2 and a 3 iron hybrid, which before he would never do that. You got people like Alan Doyle, that 2-time Senior Open champion, and he has 4 hybrids in the bag. And in my opinion, it's the way that most amateurs, or most people as period, should be playing, a bag that looks more like what they play, which is more hybrids for the clubs that are harder to get up in the air, and it's just gonna, you're gonna make the game more enjoyable. And that's essentially what you see difference between here and the other tour.